that forth. You're relieved. Your warts gently eventually go away. The doctor gives you one warning. You get genital warts, you are much more likely to get chlamydia one day. Yeah. And but you don't worry about that too much. You know, you're young. And but yes, of course you've had many excursions since then. But one day, you're having problems down there. Years later, you're having problems. And you think, well, I better see Dr. Gynecologist again. I haven't had an examination for a while. And so he puts you on a stool. Here we go. Pull down your panties. I can have an examine. He goes deep. He says, ma'am, I'm sorry to inform you, you have chlamydia. And you think, oh no. It goes back to that one night stand I had in college. I don't even remember the guy's name. I never even had an orgasm. And now I got chlamydia. The doctor says, calm down. He calls in the nurse. Calm down, there is treatment for chlamydia. So, you take the treatment, it goes away. The doctor does give one warning. I must warn you, you need to come in for regular exams. Because statistically, you're much more likely to get cervical cancer now. Well, you're not too worried about that. Why would you not be worried about that? Well, meanwhile, you get married. You have a couple of babies. You're in your mid-30s now. You're thinking, well, I haven't had that exam for a while. Maybe I better check things out down there. So you go to make an appointment with Dr. Gynecologist. Put you on the stool, lift up your skirt pants, pull down your pants, and he gets down there, X-ray, here, and a couple days you come back, the doctor's there and the nurse is there. Mrs., I regret to inform you, you have cervical cancer! And you think, oh no. It all goes back to that one night stand I had in college. I don't even remember the guy's name. I never even had an orgasm. And now I've got cancer. Well, you got a point there. Yeah, tell me about all the fun you had on that one night stand. Things God's way. Two virgins married. You don't have to worry about getting any STDs or things like that. Then you'll want to have babies. Don't worry about getting pregnant because you'll want to get pregnant. You won't have to bother putting that rubber on your little baby. And so, it sort of does, take away some of the effect, you might say. And, so, marriage is honorable. Marriage bed is not to be defiled. Whoremonger and adulterer, God will judge. The same. Girls that have been ruined, which evidently most of you, not all of you have. And girls who've been naughty and nasty, and then you can become sugar and spice and be nice and sins forgiven. We confess our sins. Jesus is faithful, just to forgive us our sins Life doesn't fall unrighteous. I suspect many girls, some of you boys, are going through that worry, do I have a sexually transmitted disease? And some of you already have it. By the way, girls, these diseases are less likely to show up on the boys. They can be carrying an STD and not even know it. Yeah. And, matter of fact, you realize statistically, 1 out of 4 people 15 years old and older are infected with an STD. You know what that means? 1, 2, 3, STD. 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 Yeah. That's how many, statistically, you all already have it. Right? God can work miracles. I'm thankful that as promiscuous as I was in my 20s, I never got an STD. And I did take one of these hippie girls once, and I did end up with the crabs. But you get this age ointment and get rid of those. But, that's kind of bad enough. And sometimes those critters have a way of hanging on and surviving even the various appointments they had. And it really wasn't worth it, that hippie girl. But, there's a lot of worse things than crabs. We did not have herpes simplex 2 and AIDS back in my whoremongering days.
You did. You just didn't know about it. It existed.
Well, it hadn't been discovered yet, I suppose. Yeah, but it wasn't epidemic. It wasn't an epidemic. The first, I think, AIDS was first discovered in the early 80s. Reading about it. I remember the first article I read in the newspaper about AIDS. It seems to me it's all about AIDS, somewhere in there. Yeah. And back in those days, it was mostly we worried about gonorrhea and syphilis. And our attitude was you could just get a shot of penicillin. Supposedly take care of it. So we didn't worry too much about the gonorrhea or the syphilis either. Any other questions, boys and girls, about the facts of life, the Bible, the meaning of life? Question back there.
He's right.
Go ahead, don't be shy. If the girls got a question, feel free to. You girls may speak also. We encourage female participation. Ideally, I would prefer to teach sex ed, just to the boys and have Sister Pat teach the girls. But, oh, really? FSU, Florida State. I'm going there tomorrow. Is she still up there? But tell them I'll be there tomorrow.
She has plans.
Yes.
Are you a virgin?
No, he's married.
I'm
He
married.
has 5 kids. He has 5 kids.
I'm married, yeah.
He used to be a slut back in his 20s.
Now, back in my college days,
She's a whore.
He had crabs, too.
who ought to tell you about my fraternity days?
Oh, my God.
Which fraternity?
Fraternity?
WUPSLA fraternity at Indiana University. This is 1960.
You were using a fraternity?
This is before the era of co-ed dorms. I'm a freshman. I'm a freshman at Indiana University. And I joined this fraternity, WUPSLA. Now, we used to have, in the basement of our, there were a lot of restrictions in those days. You weren't allowed to have the opposite sex in your room. And any social function, parties had to be chaperoned by faculty, staff, administrators, whatever. And the chaperone there. And went over at the DU house. We had ways of getting around all the restrictions. In the basement of our house was the yard room. And by the way, girls, this was not a place for developing film. In the dark room, there was neither light nor window. The walls were painted black, lined with thickly cushioned leather couches. Some of the boys, they know how these females like the feel of leather against their bare thighs. It seems to drive them into a sexual frenzy. Well, the floor of the dark room, was carpeted with old, stained mattress out of the door. Now, we used to have exchange dinners with the sorority. You know what our favorite sorority was? Do you have tryouts?
He's like, yeah, buddy.
We were the same back in my college days. When all the other sorority girls fail, try and help.
That's right.
Oh, then we had another saying. Try and help. Everyone else has. Yeah. Well, the girls here in this college may be very pure, they may be good girls, I don't know. And we're talking about Indiana University 1960. Not all sorority girls are alike. And so when we first brought the girls over the house, we were playing the role of gentlemen. Even back in those days, you know, frat guys had a pretty bad reputation. And so, you know, we would wear our blue, even back in those days, 50 years ago, I'd wear a blue blazer, you know, classic tie, V-neck, sleeveless sweater, you know, pair of khakis, and don't dress up, look respectable. We weren't respectable, we tried to look respectable. And, you know, back in those days, he said you always needed a chaperone for your social functions. We used our house mother, correct, chaperone, Mom Meeks. I'll never forget the dear lady. We had her well trained. She was never to leave the formal lounge. You would bring the girls in and introduce them to the house mother, and you would chit-chat about the weather or courses of study or whatever. Then after about 5 minutes, you would lead the girls into the informal lounge. And guess what was in the informal lounge? No, things haven't changed really that much in 50 years, but even today would be a necessary ingredient for any college party. Yes! Beer! Cakes of beer!
I win.
You will graduate college, sir.
Because back in those days, you had to get the girls intoxicated before they would go down. And also, these times thereof. The key was choosing the right girl. Now, I'll never forget when I went off to college, my dear precious mother sat me down with a little heart-to-heart talk. She said, son, if you're going on to college, you want to find a nice girl to date, and you may want to marry when you graduate. I said, well, Mom, how do you know whether she's a nice girl or not? And she said, son, remember this. Nice girls don't smoke. And I said, well, Mom, thanks for telling me that. But Mom did not know. I wasn't really looking for a nice girl. I was looking for the naughty and nasty girls who would get down and dirty. Yeah. Therefore, I always look for the girls who smoke. Because I figured any girl who would stick a cigarette in her mouth. We're not talking about lollipops. Depends on the old saying. If they smoke, they'll
Yeah.
So, now, I'll have to admit, not all girls who smoke were bad girls. Sometimes you meet a girl who smoked and still wouldn't do much. So I had another trick up my sleeve.
Oh, wow.
I would tell the girl a dirty joke. Now, if she blushes or seems embarrassed or offended, you figure, hey, she's still a nice girl. And you're not maybe wasting a whole evening just having to talk to somebody who wanted to do that. You know, back in those days, I had no idea what to talk to girls about. See, this is early 60s. Back then, girls were into sports. And I didn't want to talk about shopping, fashion, jewelry, babies, crocheting. You know how girls are. And, but on the other hand, if they laughed at my dirty joke, it was time to make my move. And I'd say, in my suave, debonair way, I'd say, hey, shorty girl, perhaps we could go to the lounge and have a cigarette together. And typically, she would say, oh, Jack, I would just love to have a smoke with you. So I would lead her into the so-called lounge, which was actually the dark room, shut the door, and I'm afraid I can't tell you what happened after that.
Well, why you told us everything else?
Well, if you insist, maybe I can tell you this much. Many a sporty girl was overexposed in the dark room, if you get my drift. See, boys and girls, God has given us a sexual appetite, sexual urge. The only legitimate expression of your sexual appetite and urges is in the sanctity of holy matrimony, marriage. Marriage is honor. Marriage bed is not to be defiled. Whoremonger, all God, God. Get married. Save yourself for marriage. You girls put down loud. You never give me an answer.
Oh, we have a question.
Yes.
I want to worry about, are we going to hear anything about Jesus, or are we just going to keep throwing rocks at us?
Yes, yes. Oh, right. By all means. Well,
That's what he's supposed to be doing if he's holding a cross.
Jesus was a virgin. He never said.
No, he's just here just to egg you people on, so he gets him to stay.
You got your cap on backwards. You got your cap on backwards.
No!
Fill up your cap.
All like show.
There to shade your eyes from the sun.
There is no sun.
There's so much sun over here, dude. I don't know how you can handle it.
Everybody doesn't know how to put their cap on straight, probably doesn't have their head on straight.
That was hard.
Okay, back to Jesus. All right, here he is.
Jesus is all about soldiering.
Hanging on the cross, atoning for our sin, so you can be forgiven. So you girls can become pure and holy again. You boys too. That's what Jesus is all about, forgiveness. You girls can become clean. Sugar and spice.